9 states now have legalized marijuana. Would you back a bill that would allow recreational use of marijuana or an expansion of medical marijuana use, which is allowed in 30 states?
Medical cannabis, medical marijuana, that has been an issue I have been involved in. I have testified in support in subcommittee at the Capitol, and I have close relationships with many patients around the state who have ascribed benefit. And something that really has stood out in my mind is when a patient, he threw his prescription pills, morphine, Oxycontin on the table and said these weren't working for him. And one statistic that really stands out in my mind that I came across is now we're facing an opioid epidemic. And in places where there is access to cannabis, that the rate of opioid abuse is less. I think it's really important, and something that's very personal to me, because I've fallen into this trap, and I think it goes back to what I was saying about what's happening to our young men, is that there's a culture out there that would rather just smoke pot than go out and engage in the world. And so we're kind of cutting ourselves short, and we're using these substances to numb ourselves. And that's really, really sad, and it's something I've been victim to and still pray for forgiveness for. But it's important, though, the solution to addiction is giving people meaningful lives. The psychological research on this is very, very clear. If you have a purpose to wake up in the morning, if you have responsibility to shoulder and people are counting on you, you're much, much less likely to fall into addictive patterns. So I'm very supportive of the idea because the prohibition doesn't work. As many parents know, cannabis and marijuana is already readily available, even though it is already outlawed. I think we need to take a fresh approach and see what we could be doing better.
Well, right now, recreational use of marijuana is legal in some states. It is not in Iowa. In fact, in Iowa, we have a cannabinoid oil law that says that you can use cannabinoid oil, which comes from marijuana, but the problem is here in Iowa, you can't ship marijuana across state lines. So where does this come from to make the product? So it has to be made here in Iowa. And there is a company in Iowa that is producing that now. To move on to the next step, should we allow medical marijuana use? I'm open to some thought on that. I'm not there, but I think if there are situations where people have chronic illnesses and it could do some good, but then again, where does the marijuana come from? Who regulates it? The Food and Drug Administration? How do you know what is there is there? Is it grown here in Iowa? There's just an awful lot of questions. And then as far as recreational use, I am against that right now.